Well, hello YouTube. Let me get into the light so I can share with you a little bit about who I am. So this is my lab, and then this is me. I'm Toya. All right, y'all. Let me get my camera set up here. Hopefully I can do this without ruining this video, as this is the first video that I'm making for my channel. Okay. Hello YouTube, my name is Toya and welcome to Toya's Pantry Farm 72. So, who am I? Well, I'm just a middle-aged single black lady who has gone through a lot of transition these past couple of years since the pandemic started in 2020. Actually, it started a little bit before that. I had a family member pass away in 2018, and through that experience, I learned a lot of things about dealing with the loss of your parent, your last parent, and making funeral arrangements and dealing with external family. I'm a single mom of an adult child. So that in itself is another journey. This December 24th, she gave birth to my first grandson. So hopefully I'll be able to post a little clip about that. But yeah, I basically have been living in Texas, grew up in Texas, Austin, Texas, went to high school, lived my life there, but I've been a truck driver since 1999, and on and off throughout the years. When I had my daughter, I came off the road, did some local stuff, and all kinds of local jobs, and ended up just not being able to afford my situation, and my circumstances, deteriorated when she was in her teens, getting ready to graduate from high school. So through that process, I've been priced out of 4 different apartment complexes. I ended up being homeless at one point in time. Fortunate for me, I had a van that a church member had donated to me during that. Packed up whatever belongings I had and moved it to storage. But then I ended up getting back on a truck and driving. And matter of fact, oh gosh, I feel like I'm just gonna get ready to just share with you my whole journey here. But when I was out over the road at that time, I got news that my father had passed away. And I was off way in Ohio somewhere. We weren't really on good terms in the end. I knew he loved me and cared for me, and I cared for him, but he was really going through it. And he didn't want anybody around. He died of lung cancer. He is retired from the Air Force, and he had to serve during the Desert Storm. my mom had passed away in 2007, and she was young. But I miss both my parents. May they rest in peace. But yeah, that moment happened. I had learned some new things. And how did I get up here? Well, after I took care of a lot of things there, I did what I knew how to do, and that was drive. And so I hopped back onto a truck and start making those deliveries. And on one of the trips, I ended up in this part of the country. I'm currently now up here in South Dakota. And I had been driving through Minnesota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, all up in here, and came across Sioux Falls, and I fell in love. Mostly because it reminded me of Austin, Texas, before it got all big. And I mean, Austin got huge. Austin was a great city. It was like a college town. It had culture. It had, not only were people going to college there, but there were things to do. There was the city park. There was the springs. There were the restaurants that had been there for like 50, 60 years. ACL, whatever. I'm not sponsored by anybody, by the way. But everybody was starting to move to Austin because it's a big tech place as well. So people were coming in, and then all of a sudden they lift the zoning ban they had because of all the growth, and then condos started popping up. And so for a while there, it was, Crane City. It's still a beautiful city, but all the things that made Austin are gone. And so now you're stuck with a bunch of condos and, houses that are just unaffordable. And at least for me. So I didn't make money like that. So I couldn't hang, and I had to move. Also, it's not really a truck-friendly place. I couldn't, my dad had left me a house, and I couldn't park the truck down the street, in front of my own house. So on my journey, when I discovered this city up here in South Dakota, it was like the whole circumference of this city was like driving around the east side of Austin. It takes you 30, 45 minutes just to get anywhere in Austin. But I like smaller. I like the quieter. I mean, this is college town too. This place has culture still. It's growing. There's work here. And so with a little bit of the funds, I'm like, well, okay, there was a place for me to park the truck. It's still not at where I'm living, but I could still call Lyft or Uber to come pick me up and take me over there. So I've been here since 2020, around October, November. That's when I moved up here, right before winter hit. So I got to experience that winter, which was very mild compared to what happened over the past couple of days here. Yeah. So I've been living here in this mobile home community. My house is paid for. I used part of my funds and just went ahead and bought the house, but I still have to pay lot rent, which it's still pretty reasonable up here. But so now that I'm here, well, what do I do about that house down in Austin? Well, the issue that I had with that was, yes, things are inherited from your parents, and my father was really good about that, and he left a will and he left life insurance, but he also left a mortgage on the house. So I had to take care of that. I had to pay $100,000. There went my, life insurance. I had to pay off that mortgage. And even after I paid off that mortgage, the cost of maintaining that house was more than what I could handle on my income. The HOA was ridiculous. The property tax was extremely high. It needs to be remodeled, so I put some money into it to remodel some important things like new flooring, a new master bathroom. My father had started the process with putting in new appliances. So the only thing that was left was just the downstairs and being able to do the same flooring that I did upstairs, downstairs, but we didn't get to that, didn't need to. Also, it wasn't my house. It was my father's house. And I don't know anybody who's ever been grieving, once you had to go and sift through all of the things. Because like I said, my dad was in bad shape when he had passed. So there was a lot of cleaning up that I had to do. And I ended up did that on my own. I didn't have help to do that. So I was basically traumatized. But it might have been a great location for him. It was too much house for me. It was too much going on in the neighborhood. I mean, like, I looked out the window and the hoarder is right there in the backyard. Neighbors had some chickens going on, and then my other neighbors had dogs trying to bust through the fence. So it was just a bit too much. So I got from under that, found a realtor, and basically we were able to list it without having put any more money into the house. And I mean, like, there was a bidding war, and that thing like sold for 3 times what my dad had paid for. He had built that house from the ground up in 2004, I believe, but it was just a stock house. But so yeah, I sold the house, and since I'm up here in Sioux Falls, I didn't want to let anything go to waste. As far as the money that I received, I didn't want to have it be gone, because that happens too. You inherit some good things, and then next thing you know, it's as if you've had nothing. People tend to squander everything. So I didn't want to see what my father had put in go to waste. Because he was military, we were always moving around. We, all over this country. And even after he retired, he was still bouncing around from this apartment to that apartment. And so the house was the first piece of property that my mom and dad had ever had that they could say was their own. So at that time, it was a really heavy decision to make, but I had to make it, and I'm glad that I did. So what did I do with the money? Well, I started looking around for some land. I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, what can I do with this? I know if it just sits there in the bank, it's going to get spent. So I need to put it into something that I know, for me, it's going to be around for a while. So I started looking for properties. Well, I like Sioux Falls. I like, this is, my home, but I got it temporarily because the home this is not what I need. With it being in a mobile home park, they have their own like HOA rules and regulations. I can't even plant a garden out in the front yard. Okay, that's an issue. You know, my house isn't quite oriented the right way to where my deck can face the sun so I can put a little something on the deck. No. So I found a piece of property about 3 hours away from here. And, you know, I was just driving around the area, and, you know, it was like about 2 acres of land. It had a little house on it. I called up the realtor, and he met me out there, and we got a good look at it. And I was just looking around, and it's like, oh, this little 2-acre thing is kind of nice. But looking at the terrain, the lot was plopped in the middle of a cornfield where it floods. You could just see where the river ran through it. And then the house itself was just some hodgepodge. I mean, like the kitchen wasn't even connected to the house. It was bad. And, you know, he was starting to tell me, well, it's gonna, you know, really start to get up there with the price, and, you know, to be able to fix this up. And I'm thinking, you're gonna have to demolish this thing and put up a brand new. No. So I'm like, wait a minute, I think I saw something when I was looking online. There was another piece of property down the road. I don't know if you know anything about that. He didn't know, but he took me down there. We drove down there to check it out, and sure enough, here was this property. It was for sale. It had a 8,000 square foot arena and a barn and a pond and 5.6 acres for roughly around the same amount of money that he was asking for that other little piece of junk that he had just showed me. So, well, I asked him, so how much? So he did some research for me, and found out about the property, and this is what the person had wanted for the property. So I was like, well, you know, put in this offer. And I put in an offer, and y'all, I didn't have to wait long. I put that offer in. She got back right away, and I closed on that property in about a month, less than a month. And I beat out, what is it, like 58, 59 different people who wanted that place really bad. I was floored. I mean, who am I? You know, I'm just some young person from Texas trying to, you know, find something good to invest in. So I got the property, and last year was my first year actually getting out there to walk it, do a little bit of work on it. I felt glad to be there, really at peace, really at home, started to get some projects done. But unfortunately, not everybody is nice and kind to you. So I came across one of those people who happened to claim he was a contractor, but all he did was get about 20 grand of my money and did absolutely nothing, and tore some stuff up on the way out. So, but within that year's time, I managed to get water installed out there. And I started, with the help of a friend, I had started mapping out, carving out the road, because, you know, part of the property was, you know, mini ag, I guess you can have animals, and the other part was residential where you can build your house. So there was a lot of things that I learned there. that year. But my funds were running low. And so I had to go back to work. And what do? I drive. So the problem with that was when I'm driving, I'm not at home. Nothing gets done. So here it is, December 27th. And today was my last day driving. And I had to, this afternoon, go start cleaning out the truck. Because, yeah, they rather me, I drove through a blizzard just to get here. I barely made it here. And then this is the worst winter that I've seen since being up here. And I couldn't get up to where they needed me to go. So I've been pretty much iced in, frozen in, negative temperatures in. And now that it's starting to get better, you know, they were supposed to, working with your dispatcher, you know, hey, I wanted to really try to be there for the birth of my grandson. But he wasn't waiting. So in December, Christmas Eve, he came. And thanks to FaceTime, I was able to be there. And I appreciate that with all my heart. My daughter and son did that for me. But I still got to plan my trip out there because I got to hold them. So, yeah. Tomorrow morning, I got to go finish getting all my personal belongings out. And I'm, in a sense, relieved, but I'm also, I'm in another transition. And it's terrifying. But, you know, Lord gives me strength, and He's seen my future. There's a lot that I can do, and a lot of talents that He has given me. That's another quilt I was working on over here. But I don't know if y'all saw it, but these are my girls. My salt and pepper. I picked these bad boys up. And it was one of the best things that I've ever done. So I'm not affiliated with them. If you see it, you might know what these are, but these are freeze dryers. Medium-sized freeze dryer. And y'all, they have changed my life. So one of my next videos, I'm just going to show you how I operate it. So I got to go ahead and, you know, get it all nice and cleaned up, fired up, ready to go. I have some food in my freezer that's been pre-freezing, and that's what I put inside my freeze dryers. So I always pre-freeze my cooked foods or my canned goods. Frozen, I cook it first, and then I stick it in my freeze dryer because it just makes it easier when you reconstitute. So I got to figure it out, and I'm grateful that I have the time to do that now. Boo-hoo, yeah. I guess I'm grieving, or had grieved a little bit, because it's always hard when you're transitioning and you're no longer doing things that you've been doing for a long time. But apparently there are other plans, good things in store for me. and I look forward to just sharing with you the things that I've learned, what I'm doing. I can't wait to get up there to that property and start working on it and building my homestead. I don't know about the animal parts yet because I'm like, yeah, let me build a garden first. So that I can freeze dry my own vegetables. But anyway, I got me a whole book of vegetable seeds that I started collecting. But yeah, that's who I am. I look forward to sharing more with you in a little bit. It's a little late right now. It's dark outside. It's cold. Tomorrow I'm going to start on my freeze dryer. So look out for that video. It's coming.